Hey y'all, it's Hunter Elliott, rangehot.com. Hope you're doing well. This afternoon I'm finalizing my review of a brand new 10mm pistol from Dan Wesson. This is the Kodiak. First thing I want to show you is the detachable 8-round box magazine is out. The slide is locked to the rear. I have ensured the chamber is empty so we know the gun is safe to talk about. The receiver is forged stainless, finished in what Dan Wesson is calling their duty finish. The stocks are G10. The overall length is 9.7 inches. The barrel length is just a cat hair over 6 inches. The height is 5.8 inches. The width is 1.5 inches. Weight comes in at 49 ounces. MSRP $23.49. I know that's pretty steep, but we've talked a lot about why the Dan Wesson pistols are so expensive. What with all the forged parts, all the small parts being tool steel, a lot of hand finishing goes into the gun, so you understand that. The particular test sample that I've got is kind of a tritone. It's got a black receiver. The slide here is kind of a gunmetal gray, battleship gray, and the controls are bronze. So kind of a cool look, but you can also get it in black, and then your controls are still in bronze. We've been working on this review about 3 months, and I did a preview on the Kodiak, and probably the single most question that I got asked is, well, how does it compare to the Bruin? Is it worth to have two separate SKUs? Are they so similar? Let's go over some of the differences between the Bruin and the Kodiak. I've got my old Bruin here that I did the review on Dan Wesson a while back. Just for the record, I've probably put another 1,000 rounds downrange since the review was published. Gun's still been 100% flawless, no problems. But you can also see I've got the mag out, slides locked to the rear, gun's empty, so we know this is safe to talk about as well. The Bruin has 3-dot night sights with a front fiber optic sight, while the Kodiak does have the front fiber optic sight, but it's just a plain serrated rear. The Bruin has a single-sided thumb safety where the Kodiak has ambidextrous safety. The Kodiak is also running a really nice mag well, and then you can see here the Kodiak has a Picatinny rail machined into the dust cover. Now also, the Kodiak runs a heavy bull barrel where the Bruin is running a traditional type barrel bushing, which truthfully I prefer the traditional type barrel bushing, but a lot of folks do prefer that bull barrel. So you've got a lot of differences between the two guns. Accuracy wise, they're pretty tit for tat. Shootability, I mean, yeah, they're both exemplary. So that's basically a brief overview of the differences between the Bruin and the Kodiak. So let's get to talk about, over the past 3 months and about 400 and some odd rounds, what I've learned about the Kodiak. What's a nice pistol? It's actually it's a damn nice pistol. Over those 400 rounds we've shot, the vast majority of them were defensive ammo that I got from Hornady, Double Tap, SIG, all that stuff run like a soul machine. Had zero malfunctions throughout the entire review. You do have the front fiber optic sight. Rear sight's adjustable for windage and elevation, and the rear face here is serrated to help cut down any kind of glare that you may get from the sun. You do have a really generous deep beaver tail here that mates nicely to the skeletonized speed hammer. Right here on the bottom of the beaver tail grip safety, you do have a palm swell, and as I always talk about, that palm swell is just a little bit of added insurance, so when you grasp that pistol, you're ensuring you're completely disengaging that grip safety so the gun will work. Mainspring housing here is very well checkered. As far as the front strap, same. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I'd mentioned earlier, this gun has got a really nice mag well on it. Now, it ships with two 8-round magazines with extended base pads. And when you're seating those with extended base pads, it seats just fine, no problem. However, I did run it with the factory Dan Wesson mags and also a couple Delta Elite mags that are just a standard base plate. Now, when you go to seat that, you see it's recessed. So when you go to seat it, you got to make sure you take your thumb and be sure that mag is locked in or it ain't going to work. So just be advised of that. But the gun didn't care which mags I ran. Coming down here to the trigger, it's got a really nice single action trigger, just like you're used to seeing from Dan Wesson, just with a cat hair of take up, breaking really clean at 4 pounds with just a hint of over travel. Here machined onto the dust cover is your accessory rail, Picatinny rail, that allow you to add any kind of lights or lasers, what have you. And that's really about all the specs on the pistol. So let's talk about what is it good for. Before I get too far in that, I'm going to lock this slide back to the rear. So, concealed carry, I mean, yeah, maybe, I reckon. 10mm is a formidable cartridge. I've said many times, in my opinion, it is the ultimate self-defense cartridge. It'll do anything the .357 Magnum will do, but it'll do it a little better. And I know people argue with me on that, but look here, y'all, I've shot a lot of gel, shot a lot of 10, shot a lot of 357. You know, at the very least, you could argue they're equal. But in my experience, the 10 millimeter exceeds it in performance over the 357 Magnum. You couple that with magazine fed, semi-automatic, in my opinion, it is the better self-defense cartridge. So, I mean to get off on that, but I know I'm going to hear some of the YouTube commandos are going to try to call me out, so I'm going to try to get all that handled right now. Anyway, yeah, concealed carry will be just fine. It's a little big, it's a little heavy, but if you had good leather and a nice belt, you could easily conceal carry the gun. But the benefit, I feel like, is because it is a long slide, you do get a little bit more sight radius. It's going to allow you not only to have a little bit more precision in the aiming, because you do have that longer sight radius, but with that extra inch of barrel over a 5-inch gun, you're going to squeeze, you know, maybe 50, 60 foot a second faster out of your, you know, across the board out of a 10 millimeter cartridge. So you get a little bit more speed, a little bit more sight radius. You also get a little bit more weight at the muzzle downrange because it is longer, and that's going to help you control some of the more hotter 10 millimeter loads. Woods carry, camping, trail, defense, absolutely. Yeah, if you were going dangerous game hunting and you needed a good sidearm, or if you were handgun hunting, the 10 millimeter as a hunting cartridge, as a defensive cartridge against four-legged predators, a double tap makes some really heavy, hard cast lead bullets that will do very well in that application. So if you were, you know, kind of needed a one does all, I'm going out into the, you know, I'm going camping, I'm going hiking, I'm going handgun hunting, but, you know, I might have to breeze into town to pick up, you know, a 6-pack of Pepsi Cola, then, you know, you've got one does all. Basically, you would just change what you carry in your magazine, swap out some of that heavy, you know, hard cast hunting ammunition for some aggressive jacket hollow points, and you'd be good to go. Accuracy, we got out at 25 yards, shot it from a rest, iron sights, and it was averaging 2-inch, but I got a couple 1.5-inch groups out of the gun. All right, y'all, so I got it all detail stripped out. First thing I want to talk about here is the barrel. It is a match grade barrel, and it has a fully supported chamber that is now clean-ish. And fully supported chamber, you know, it does make a little bit of a difference. It's not a deal breaker, but when you're shooting some of the really hot 10 millimeter, like double tap, that'll keep from your brass bulging and all that sort of stuff. Make it a little bit easier on the gun, yourself included. Something I thought was really cool, since it did have a bull barrel, this is the first time I had the gun apart, I was a little curious how they had got all this stuff together on a long slide. And they used an extended reverse recoil spring plug that had a little cutout, so when you're taking it apart, the little cutout slides over the length, and that allows you to slide the reverse recoil spring out, or excuse me, the reverse recoil spring plug out far enough to get it out to fill strip, detail strip it. I thought that was pretty cool. Barrel here, should have talked about this, looking at the lock and lugs on the barrel, looking at the lock and lugs on the inside of the slide here. They're good to go. They're nice and sharp, crisp, clean, no burrs, chips, or whatever, and that tells me that at least I know the barrel and slide were fitting correctly. Now, I know I'd mentioned it only shot about 400 some odd rounds to the gun. However, if the timing was wrong or something was ill fit, I promise you to shown up by now. Once again, Dan Wesson is going and using the reduced radius firing pin stop, which I think is great. Help get some of that perceived recoil down. If you're curious about how the reduced radius firing pin stop helps you get some of that perceived recoil down, just jump over to rangehot.com. You can find a really good article that John Travis, 1911 tuner, wrote for me on how that works, but it works. Sear, disconnect, they're all good to go. The edges are nice and sharp. Hammer hooks. Steel trigger here, it is adjustable for over travel. Now, I did not adjust it because it was perfect from the factory in my opinion. But if you want to fine tune it, you've got that option here. Extended mag well is incorporated within this steel mainspring housing, G10 stocks. You notice here the stock screws. They're still using Allen head stock screws, which are not my favorite. I'd as soon see them be flathead, but whatever. But they do use a little rubber O-ring here on each stock screw, and all that does is when you snug it down, it helps put even pressure on the stocks, and it helps kind of keep everything in place so they don't try to back out. I think that's a really nice touch, attention to detail. I think somebody accidentally kinked the plunger spring, because when I took this one apart, the damn thing didn't try to fly out. So I would like to see that become the norm, kinking a little small kink on the plunger spring here, but I don't know. A lot of people don't understand that. They look at the outside of a 1911, they're like, well, that thing looks gorgeous, you know, and they don't look that much different than this Dan Wesson. Why is it twice as much? Well, you know, you look at a car, the paint job ain't what it's all about. It's what's under the damn hood that counts. So if you really want to understand why these guns are like that, get one in your hands, shoot it, look at the small parts, understand it ain't full of cast and mem. The thing's gonna, you know, you're gonna pass it down to your grandkids' grandkids. And the 400 rounds, I'm gonna call that rawhide. As always, there's going to be an article on rangehot.com. It's going to have all the technical specs and a lot more of this stuff. So I know I kind of went through stuff a little fast. If you think I missed something, you didn't catch something, just jump over to rangehot.com, take a look-see there. Past that, reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest. I do the social media gamut. Let me know. Good, bad, right, or wrong. You got opinions, criticism. I'm all ears. So that's it. I want y'all to take care of yourselves and each other. I look forward to seeing you at the range.